Hello, hello, and welcome back to Read the Coverage Sports. So today we are continuing more of our draft coverage, looking at some potential NFL quarterback prospects that are going to be in the upcoming 2020 draft, whenever that may end up happening. Right now, it's still scheduled to be on time, but we'll see if that sticks with obviously the new normal we're living in at the moment. So today we're going to be taking a look at Cole McDonald, the quarterback out of Hawaii. He's one that has been getting a lot of hype and attention as potentially a real riser in the draft, potentially a nice sleeper guy that teams could look to pick up and things like that. He's kind of a polarizing figure in the fact that I'm seeing way different evaluations of him. I'm seeing really top end, really low end, and there'll be people that talk about, oh, he's got all the physical attributes with the strong arm and this, that, and another. And then there's other ones that are like, he just doesn't have any of it. We're going to try to sort it through and kind of look and see what's actually real with Cole McDonald. Just kind of as a breakdown of Cole. So he is a redshirt junior, so he's coming out a year early. As far as, physical size and everything like that, he fits the prototypical mold. He's like 6'4". He's a good-looking kid. He's very athletic. He ended up running like a 4.58, 4.6, somewhere in the 40. He had pretty good athleticism in college. When you look at a guy like Justin Herbert, who's another guy people talk about being a really athletic quarterback, he only had like 50 yards rushing his last year, versus Cole had somewhere in like the 500 yards rushing. So he can actually be a threat running the ball. He's not like a huge physical guy that's going to run people over, but he can cause some problems if he gets out of the pocket and gets out on the edge and things like that. So that is something that's a benefit to him. In college, he ran a run and shoot offense, which I'll go ahead and put it out there. I'm not super familiar with traditionally. I've done some research going into breaking down his tape. So the run and shoot offense is it's a pretty old offense. It's one that's been around for quite a while. Real popular with like Mouse Davis and June Jones. Hawaii's been historically really set on running the run and shoot for several years with multiple different coaches and things like that. They've pretty much found a home. More recently, one of the more popular or famous quarterbacks coming out of a run and shoot system also came from Hawaii, and that was Colt Brennan several years back. Unfortunately, he got really injured in his NFL days, so we never really get to see where that came out to. But, Cole is the next guy up in terms of the evaluation process for these run and shoot guys. So the run and shoot offense in and of itself, there are some similarities to an air raid type system. It's just traditionally not the type of offense that you're going to see in the NFL. So how their routes and everything is broken down, they pretty much adjust on the fly depending on what they see, versus there being set timing routes and everything like that. There is some timing based on if you see cover one, cover two, man zone. The receiver's supposed to do this, the quarterback's supposed to be on that same page. So you do have to be able to analyze the defense for the most part. But it's not like a really pro-style in-depth type system. Even with air raid now, you see a lot of those air raid concepts in the NFL, so there is something to compare it to, versus with the run and shoot, there's not a lot of that. So there's some, issues there. Also, with the run and shoot, they're always a four-wide offense. They're always going to have some variation of four wide receivers out. So whether it's a 2x2 or it's a 3x1 or it's a 5-wide or anything like that, there's always going to be multiple receivers spreading out the defense. It's always going to be in the shotgun. There's no under center. I think I saw a stat where out of every single snap for Hawaii this last year with Cole McDonald, every single formation was some variation of a 4 wide receiver set. So that's what he's in. He's never used to having multiple running backs, tight ends, things like that. It's always 4 wide in some type of configuration. Now, as far as Cole McDonald as a prospect, so like I said, there's a lot of people that are discussing him as potentially being a sleeper, potentially rising high in the draft. He could be a potential steal in the late rounds and things like that. And I'll be honest with you, I just don't see it. I think he is 100% a project quarterback. He is, to me, just off my analysis and what I've looked at, he is like a fringe like round 5, round 6 type of guy, and not in the good way, as in I'm going to take a project. He's not like a Gardner Minshew, which you can see projections on where Gardner Minshew could have been even as a 6th round guy, just because of the attributes that he brought to the game. My main issues with Cole, and I've broken down 4 or 5 games. We're going to look at the Washington game here in just a bit. But my issues with him are arm strength. Now, he is capable of making majority of the NFL throws, but my issue with he has almost no velocity on his throws. They're all just very noodle arm. He can get them there. There's just no zip on the ball. It doesn't fly out of his hands. There's no pop, anything of those big hot keywords that you see with a lot of prospects. He's not Jordan Love. He's not Justin Herbert, where he can just sling it and really get it where it needs to go, fit it in tight windows. There's not a lot of that. He is plenty capable of making all the NFL type throws, so that's not a concern. And you say, oh, there's guys that make it and are very successful in the NFL without a strong arm, and that's absolutely correct. But what a lot of those guys do to supplement that lack of arm strength is they're incredibly accurate. You look at like a Drew Brees type guy who doesn't have the strongest arm in the world, but he's on time, he's on rhythm, his accurate passes, things like that. The ball placement's usually always perfect. Or he throws with great anticipation, or they throw with great anticipation. You look at a Gardner Minshew, that was one thing that he was doing really well. He knew where the route was breaking. He'd throw the ball before the route would break. He'd get guys open. He'd throw guys open, things like that. You hear that a lot as well. Cole does not have that. In all the games I watched, there's almost no anticipatory throws. Every time he throws to receiver, the receiver is wide open. There's no, okay, I'm going to throw it before he breaks into his route. There's none of that. Now, some of that is within the offense, but you'd like to see some of that on a regular basis regardless, where you can see, okay, this guy's going to run an out route. I'm going to hit him before he makes his break, so as soon as he makes his break, he gets even that little bit of separation in order to complete that pass and, gain some yardage after that. That's another thing you don't see a lot of. You do not see a lot of yards after completion with any of Cole McDonald's throws, because whenever he's throwing guys, they're usually getting tackled right at the throw, right after the throw immediately, just because he doesn't allow them to create space. By the time he's throwing the ball, everyone knows where it's going, and they're able to get down on the ball. There's a lot of dump offs and things like that. We'll look into the film. I have a lot of issues, and it sounds like somewhat nitpicky when we get into that film, where he makes a completion. It's great, make a completion, get 5 yards. But if he waits half a second, half a step, if he just hitches a little bit, then he's got another guy wide open that potentially for touchdowns. And that happens several times in this Washington tape that we're going to look at. So that's an issue. My other issue with him is his deep ball. I think he has, of the guys that I've looked at so far, we've not covered Jordan Love here, but I've looked at tape over Jordan Love, but I've covered on this channel, I've covered Anthony Gordon, I've covered Justin Herbert. He's got easily one of the worst, just deep balls, and people are like, oh, he had a lot of deep completions, and he did, but those were wide open guys. These were guys that, it's cover one, the guy runs out, and he throws it out there, and just makes the guy go get it. He's not a playmaker. As far as what I see him as a quarterback prospect, I don't see him as a natural quarterback. He is an athlete that plays quarterback. He's not a quarterback that is athletic. Now, can these things be fixed? Absolutely. It will take time, though. This isn't a guy that I would project to be seeing any actual game time for 2 to 3 years at minimum. If he sees it any time before that, he's going to have a bad time. Now, the next thing to talk about, and it's something you'll hear about to varying degrees, his throwing motion. His throwing motion is just awkward. It's the closest comp I can give him is Phillip Rivers, and that's still not even that close, because Phillip Rivers has the arm strength, he has the accuracy, he has the anticipation, he makes all those throws that you need to make. Where Cole's throws is he comes down really low. Typically, you see a guy that come here, maybe a little bit of a dip. But typically, guys now are getting it out quick. There's a quick release. You look at like Anthony Gordon that we talked about. His release is just super quick. He's just really getting it out there, really spinning it, really throwing it. With Cole, he dips it down low, and it comes out. And then when he throws, see if I can get it in here, he's just at a really awkward arm angle. And he's not real over the top. He's real kind of to the side, and his arm's off. To me, it looks like a javelin, like he's trying to chunk a javelin down the field. And if you've ever seen that, it's kind of an awkward motion in and of itself. It's real like loopy and things like that. That he doesn't really get that elbow out in front of him. Now, if they could get that motion fixed, he could introduce some more velocity into his throws. There's potential in that. Now, it's hard once the guy comes and he grows through this throwing motion that's real awkward, real goofy, that he doesn't really, they don't really change guys like that a lot, or they try and it just never works, a la Tim Tebow. Historically his was real low and, winding. Cole isn't as low as a Tim Tebow, but there are similarities there. Cole just doesn't have those other attributes where people are like, okay, we can make it up for Tim Tebow. Obviously, that didn't work. But as we saw, Tim Tebow, they tried to change his motion a little bit, try to tweak it here and there, and it just never quite settled because, he's probably been throwing like this for 10 or 15 years. And that muscle memory is so embedded, it's just hard to fix. Especially, like, you can fix it in practice and things like that. Okay, cool. But then whenever you get in game time and you got 350-pound guys flying at your body, at your feet, at your knees, and everything like that, it kicks in and you just throw how you've always thrown. And, now, are there ways to adjust for that? Yes. Unfortunately, I think we're getting into a time in the NFL where not having a quick release is really going to bother you. The quick game is so prevalent now with the quick screens and the different things like that. Like, again, as we talked about with these air raid concepts that are being introduced, where people are really talking about more stretching horizontally as opposed to vertically. And so you need to be able to get the ball quick. And that's where he struggles. If you watch, when we get into the Washington tape, I think they only throw like 2 screens the entire game, which is like unheard of at the college level. Typically, there's like, when we looked at Justin Herbert, there was like 15 throws that game. When we look at Anthony Gordon, there's like 10 throws, or like, 15 to 20 screens that game. So that is something to look about. In the particular film that we're going to watch today, we're going to break down the Washington game. We're just going to break down the first half. It ends up being a blowout. They ended up getting, it was like 35 to nothing going into the the last drive of the second quarter, and they end up getting a drive. I don't even know if Cole ends up throwing a touchdown in the entire game. It's just an absolute disaster. I know he threw like 3 picks. We see 2 on film. So there's a lot of issues there. And again, this isn't meant to be a negative towards Cole. He's probably a great kid, everything like that. But there's a lot to work on, and I'm not going to put him up there as a top quarterback prospect because I don't think he's close. There's several other guys that I can name off that are sleepers that I would look at. The kid from Princeton would be one, which if I can get film on him, will gladly break him down. He is more of an actual like sleeper prospect that I would look at over Cole. Cole just doesn't. There's so much work that needs to be done, and I just don't know if a team's going to be able to willingly invest in that time to put in that work. Now, could be wrong. The guy could be taken, I still imagine him I couldn't imagine seeing a world where he's taken before the 4th round. I project him personally more as like a 5th or a 6th round guy, if that, maybe even just like a priority free agent. But we'll kind of see how it goes. But let's go ahead and take a look into the film. All right, so we are getting into the Hawaii versus Washington film with Cole McDonald. So this is our first possession. Washington got the ball to start, and they went down and scored a touchdown. So we're already starting from behind. But we'll kind of get into it. As you see, we're in this 2-by-2 formation. A little bit of a tight split on the left-hand side. We're just going to start. We're just going to get an easy little out here. Pretty easy. We're going to see a lot of these outs. They throw a lot of these. This receiver just, really just running just this little, he's just doing this. Really. Cole ends up getting the throw once the receiver's actually open, which again is what we talked about. He's not anticipating it and throwing him open, which would allow him to get separation. We don't get that. So he's throwing it now. Which I probably would have liked it thrown here. Now, is it a little bit of a difference? Yes. Does it make a difference? Absolutely. Because here versus here, especially where the ball placement is, now this receiver doesn't have much where to go. He can't really make a play. Now, he does enough to get the first down, which is good. But you would have liked to seen him get it in his hands a little sooner and let him try to make a play with that. Let your playmakers be playmakers. See, he's putting him so close to the sideline, he's just not a lot of room to work with. All right, we're here to 2x2. We're going to motion in, motion back out. This is really just kind of a help identify the coverage. We're going to end up getting an interception here. We'll let it run all the way out, and then we'll talk about it. So this is the same thing. This is really just another out. Which we have issues. So his receiver is really just doing just kind of this number. Which getting it to the sideline is great, but you need to, as he's making his as he's getting really about in this general area is when the ball needs to come out of Cole's hand, and it needs to be out towards the sideline. You need to be throwing it here in this area, not here or anything like that. Like this is where the ball needs to end up. We don't get that. Cole ends up throwing it inside shoulder versus outside shoulder, which ends up getting the cornerback just enough time. See, now the cornerback just gets to jump it. And this is, again, you got to zip that in there. You can't kind of loosey-goosey that out there. Now, this is a good play from the cornerback, but the quarterback doesn't help. See, like right there, like he almost is just throwing it at the cornerback. You know, as we talked about, we need that throw like here to the sideline versus he throws it here. And so this cornerback can just, you know, jump that route, especially if you know he's going out to the boundary. And these are just some of the issues that we've talked about with Cole. Again, good play by the cornerback. You know, he does a great job jumping it and getting the interception here. All right, we're motioning into this 3x1 set. Just going to get another out. There's a lot of outs in this game in particular. You know, they're kind of daring, you know, when they're playing this one safety, they're just kind of daring him to throw it over the top, and we never get there. You know, we're down 14 here. It's not like a ridiculous amount to come back from, but you do have to start lighting a fire underneath a little bit. We're in a really tight 2x2. It's just a little, like, tunnel screen. Good yardage there. Alright, so now we're in like a third, and relatively long. We're like 3rd and 9. So we need to keep the drive moving. Now this throw was just really not even close. Now there is pressure, but you're not giving your wide receiver any real chance here. And again, this is 3rd down, 3rd and long. We got to get a completion here. Now, look where this ball is. Look at the ball placement. When we look at it, our ball's here. Our closest receivers here. So we're good, you know, we're off. It's not even really that close. Now, there is pressure, but it's a big time. You got to make this throw. You got to make these throws. Washington goes down and scores again, so now we're down 21-0. So we really, really got to get moving. Oh, I think we accidentally left a run in here. Alright, we're in our 2x2. We're 2nd and 5. So we're making some adjustments. We're reading some things. Now, we get this out here, which is good. But when we look at this is one of those throws that, well, yes, it's a completion. It's a good job getting the completion. I think we could have been a little bit more aggressive. So he's running here, and this receiver's running somewhere in this area right over here. And this secondary receiver is where I think if we just wait just a little bit, we have an opportunity for a much bigger play, which at this point in the game, that's what we need to be looking at. So he makes this throw here, and here's what I'm talking about. Like, this guy is pretty much open. He's got all this room to work with here. Instead, we check it down here. If you give this guy to the sideline, is it 4 or 5 more yards? Yes. Does that matter? Yes. Because now you have an opportunity with only one safety to try to get up. If he catches it and gets upfield, which we don't get that. Again, nitpicky, yes, but these are the type of throws you kind of expect guys like this to make. Guys like this that are being talked about being a relatively high quarterback taken in the draft. Not like a first-round guy by any stretch of the imagination. I don't want to make it sound like people are saying this guy is going to be a dude, but for the amount of hype and talk he's getting, I'm just not seeing it. There's that motion. But we get a first down, so we'll take it. I mean, that's not terrible. Completion's a completion. So here, we're just kind of scramble drill. There is an opportunity in my mind. If you'd looked, he's got a receiver kind of running deep. Let's see if we can get to it. Yeah, once we're right here, he's not committed to a throw yet. We've got this guy and this guy running out to the sideline. Now, is this a difficult throw? Yes. But if he hits either one of these guys, you have an opportunity for a big play, potentially a touchdown here. Because you've really only got, one guy to beat once you make it out here. But he pretty much just locks on to this over here, which is unfortunate. Because that's a tough throw. See, ball's out now. Ball's out, he's making the throw right here. He's not really squared up, looking downfield. He locked onto this guy out here pretty much right away whenever he bailed. He's got time. It's not like a guy's, right on him. So he's got either of these two options open, and I'm sorry, but you've got to make those throws. You've got to see that stuff. He does a good job getting out of pressure, which is good. This is the stuff you like to see as well. And being able to move around. But, right now, you can see it too. Look at all that green grass. Look at all this green grass here in front of either of these two receivers, and they're picking their hands up. This guy in particular is waving around like, hey, look at me, I'm open. But then this guy is open as well. And either one of those throws is relatively easy throw to make. But when you see him, he is just tunnel visioned over here. He's not even looking in this part of the field, which again, that could be built into the offense that you don't really want to look around, but out here on the perimeter, be an athlete, make a play. And just consistently, just kind of the stuff that we don't see a lot of. Like, you're asking number 15 to make a really difficult play with a defender just, like, on him the entire way, on the sideline, no help. So, all right, 3rd and 5. Let's get a little run. Try to keep these in, just because we do see his athleticism and work. He is able to make some plays as a runner, which is good. So here's where we're finally starting to, like, try to work our way down the field. And this decision is correct. This receiver is just kind of running it out. So, we've got 2 guys here. So this ball needs to be somewhere here in the middle. So he makes the right decision that this is the guy he needs to go to. That is correct. But it's late. And so we're incomplete. The defense is able to come back, make a play on it. Like, it needs to be thrown now. And he throws it behind him. It needs to be in front of him. You need to take him to the sideline. I mean, and again, this is just, I'm not trying to be nitpicky, but this is just the type of stuff that you can't see. There's too many missed throws. So here we get in some pressure, and we just get a throwaway. Good decision. That's what you want. Live to play another down. You don't need to force anything here. You get pressure up. Good movement coming out of the pocket, and then we just get rid of it. Not going to complain about those at this point in the game. Okay, so we get another incompletion here. To me, by ball placement, he's throwing, like, somewhere here. I'm thinking he was expecting this receiver to break it out deeper, and then he ends up coming shallower. And so I think that's where this incompletion is coming from. This is like, we're kind of like a deep post, right? And I just think that's all it is that the quarterback's expecting the receiver to break one way, or break at another depth, and we don't quite get that. So I think it's just a miscommunication. I think they were seeing different things. And like we talked about, I don't know the run and shoot well enough to say with, a lot of clarity that, oh, this read should have been here, or this read should have been here. I don't know that for certain. So we get a completion here. Again, it's another little out. That's what they're giving us. And, Cole's taking what's there. But this is one we're talking about where I think if he would have waited, he has all of this right here with this receiver. He ends up taking this out, which is more contested. So, I mean, it's there. It's not the easier throw, but Alright, he's throwing it right now. Like, I have a hard time believing that this second receiver right here is a worse idea than this. Just where we're at in the game. Yeah, it's first down, so it doesn't matter that big of a deal because you're going to get a completion. But you're down. Like, you need to start, getting some yards, getting some chunks. And if you get this in here at a relatively okay time and placement, you're giving this receiver an opportunity to try to make a play. And that's just not what we see a lot of. We talked about there's not a lot of yards after catch just because he doesn't put his receivers in great enough positions to really like. If he would have put this to the sideline to that secondary receiver and let him go try to get it, um, I think it'd be a different situation. See, to me, it doesn't even look like he's even looking at the other guy. This is solely looking at that first out. So this is a good throw. The receiver just drops it. I think they ended up giving it to him as a fumble. The read's fine. It may be a little bit too late. Or they do initially call it, or end up calling it an incomplete, but we're just kind of late. So we end up taking a sack here, and now he's pressured, so it's hard to really, fault him for a lot of different things, but you've got a receiver coming this way, and you got a receiver coming this way. And there's single coverage. Either one of these, if they can make a break in the middle and you can lead them a little bit, this is what a lot of what my issues with Cole is. He waits. He waits till the receiver is completely uncovered before he makes a throw. Until he doesn't, and he just throws like a bad decision ball. But he doesn't throw these guys open. This is an opportunity to throw your receiver open. Let him go get the ball. And he doesn't do that. He waits for them to clear, and then he makes his throws. And see, now he's waiting. Versus if this ball is out, he's able to not get sacked here. But right now, ball needs to be thrown. Even if your guy doesn't catch it and he drops it, you're not losing yards. But this ball needs to be out. And he gets to it. You can see it in his read where he gets there. He just doesn't pull the trigger. And, that's part we're talking about with a slow release. A quicker release guy maybe gets that off. But we just don't quite get there. Okay, now we're down 28-0. We've got to start trucking along here. This is a good throw. Pretty good throw. Just a little comeback. His receiver does a good job coming back to it. You would have liked it to get there a little better for the receiver. So this receiver doesn't have to fall to catch versus catch and try to make a play. But this is again kind of talking about with our ball placement issues. It's a completion though, so we'll take it because we've not had a lot of success there yet. A lot of it's been a little dink and dunk type stuff. So here ends up being, to this point of the game, for sure the best throw of the game. Maybe my best throw for him of the day. I haven't made up my mind yet. But this is just a nice little slant. But you'll see, even with this, he waits till the guy makes his break before he gets the ball out. Throw it a little sooner. Just half a second sooner makes a difference. It's where people can't adjust. But it's a good throw. Receiver does a good job catching it and trying to make some moves on some people. Here we're just going to get another one of these little comebacks. He's got a couple options. Ends up taking the one on the left. The one on the right's open as well. But, we'll take it. Receiver does a good job, gets a first down. Here's, you can get a really good look at this motion. We'll take it step by step. You see how low we are and how out we are? We're just a lot of wasted motion, a lot of wasted movement. We're not tight, we're not compact. Everything as far as his footwork is fine. I think his base is probably a little wide and a lot of his drops. I don't think he gets underneath his own body enough, but I mean, that stuff's for the most part okay. Just that loopy motion. Javelin throw, that's really what I think it's the most comparable to. So here we just get some pressure, we run away. Nothing open. Just throw it away. Good decision. See where his mobility is helpful here. Now, I think he maybe rushed it a little too soon. I think he could have stayed in the pocket a little bit and let something develop, but I'm not going to argue with it too much. Now, here's one of the... It's not even it's not an interception, but it's arguably one of the worst plays of the game. You can't really see it from this angle, but we'll look at it over here. It's just really like a dump off. I don't know if it's like designed as I think it's a screen. It's intended to be a screen, but it's just a real crappy effort throw from the quarterback. It's not even really a throw, it's just like a lateral. But we're getting out, your linemen are working out there. This running back just turns around and just throw it. All you have to do is just pick up your arm and just throw it. But he does this little underhanded toss, and it doesn't even really get there to the running back. And it's just, everything about it's just really poor. I don't know how they teach it, so that could be how they're taught to throw it. But I can't believe you couldn't just, give it even a little bit of a flick of the wrist and just get it right there. I mean, he's like 5 feet in front of you. So now we're down 35-0, so we're pretty much out of the territory of a comeback is real feasible, and we're in the second quarter still, by the way. So just getting more of these outs. That's what they're giving you, so he's going to take it, but we're not in the point of the game where that's relevant. You need to start pushing the ball. And again, his receiver just can't do anything after the catch because of where he's throwing it, when he's throwing it. So here we get a little bit of play action. And this, the guy just... The throw is fine. Maybe a little behind. Or a little in front of, excuse me. But... yeah, everything's just going not your way at this point. Now, if you look here, what do you see? I mean, obviously I see it, so we'll see if you see it. You got a guy running here that's free. Versus this is where we end up going. This is what we talked about. You got to be able to push the ball downfield. And, yeah, there's another corner over there where this guy is going downfield, but he's not close enough to make a play. If you zip that in there, I know you're on the run, but that should be a routine throw. And where his hips are turned and everything like that, you could even lead it and go let your receiver go make a play. And we just refuse to do that. So now we're down 38-0. So this is another one of those I was talking about, this throw is open, yes, because they're giving you these little throws. But if we wait and we watch this, what else comes open? This is where we throw. But this guy is coming open, and the closest guy to stop him is right here. You can get this to the sideline. This is an NFL throw. If you get this to the sideline, there's a real deep out right here. Not an easy throw by any stretch of the imagination, but it's open, and you're down 38-0. I know you see, first down, let me get a first down, great, but we're running out of time. Like, this is, captain check down type territory, and that's just not what we want from a guy like this. You have two safeties deep, but one on that part of the field. You can't tell me that you couldn't throw it out there and let that guy go make a play. And I know I'm reiterating a lot of this, but this is just, our issues. There's just a little comeback. This is a good throw. Nothing wrong with this throw. No complaints really here. I think he maybe hitches a little bit too much. Just put your foot in the dirt and rip it. But they were 1, 2, 3. We're a little toesy. Just go. Throw the ball. And you'll notice a lot of these throws, which I've not really talked about it, the ball flutters a lot. Like, it's not like a tight, straight spiral. There's a lot of movement. Here's really our only time where we see him really, like, fit it in a window. Like, he gets this complete right here. He gets this right here, which is good. I'm glad to see we're able to fit that in a window. But, as we've talked about, you've really got one deep safety. Like, to me, now I know he makes this throw so soon, but to me, this guy's got to step. Just based on where this corner's his hips are turned. Like, he's got to step. He's not facing him. He's got to step, and he can go. And if we watch how it develops a little bit, that's what happens. But we fit it in, which, again, I'm glad you're fitting it into a window. That's good. But I feel like that's an unnecessary difficult throw versus the more throw over the top that was open. Because right now, they're pretty much just letting you throw it around. We're effectively in garbage time now. Here's you can get a little dump. It's a good throw. Everything's about as right. The receiver just drops it. Or running back just drops it. This one's not on Cole. Just boop. And just straight up drop. Nothing about it. Here we get a good throw. It's probably a little bit inaccurate. If you throw a little bit more of an accurate ball, maybe that receiver gets some more opportunity to make a play. But it's first down. Now your receiver can go do something. It's off that slant, which again, they're giving you space. So a lot of these throws should come open at this point. We get another little kind of a comeback, but again, he throws it at the dirt. So your receiver can't do much. Now, I know there was a defender there, but you throw it to his outside shoulder maybe and let him try to turn upfield. But you throw it at the dirt, he has no chance. So here we're just going to get another one of those slants. Good throw. He throws this throw fairly well, but, they're playing off now at this point. And that is it. That is our Cole McDonald tape. They ended up running it in for a touchdown here. But like I said, we're not going to cover the second half because at this point it's all garbage time. You saw how they're really playing off the receivers and everything like that, so there's not a lot to really discuss. But, again, there's a very big gap between the talent of Washington and Hawaii, obviously, but you would like to see him, make his players better, and you don't see a lot of that. You see a lot of stuff get open. You see a lot of misses, a lot of inaccurate throws, just wrong reads. The ball placement is poor, as we've talked about, and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, that is it.